but you don't look blind. Ever hear that one? Or how about this gem? How do you know that? You're blind. Yes, sadly, even in this day and age of information technology galore, the lack of awareness about the world and levels of visual impairment often leads those of us with visual impairment feeling frustrated and unfortunately less often surprised. Even from well-meaning professionals that work with the disabled community, there's room for improvement. Hopefully with this vlog we can shed some light on it and bridge some understanding between the visually impaired and sighted communities. That's coming right up.
Low on vision, high on tech. CircleOfTheBlindMice.com.
Hey everybody, it's Tammy, your friendly neighborhood blind mouse that likes to babble about technology, and this week's vlog is all about the levels of visual impairment explained. The other day I was chatting with a fellow blind mouse friend of mine, and he was telling me about an experience he had recently with a local disability organization. Someone of this organization actually said to him, "Oh, you're blind, you can't use computers, right?" Wrong! How this came out of the words of a disability organization that serves a disabled community is beyond me, and it was certainly beyond my friend. We were both just blown away by this. And I used to work for this organization. I'm not going to say who they were, but when I worked for them, it was an organization for and by people with disabilities, and we served the entire disabled community. That included visually impaired, deafblind, learning disabilities, psychological disabilities, physical disabilities, you name it. We served them and we were aware. So I was really saddened actually to hear this coming from a disabled organization. And that's when I decided, you know what, I need to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video actually ever since I started my vlog, but life happened and I just didn't get around to it. So I'm doing it now. Hopefully this will go at least a little way to bridging the gap and awareness that's out there. So before we go any further, if you're new to visual impairment yourself, or if you are fully sighted and you don't really know a lot about it, a couple things really important to note. First thing is, not everybody who's blind or low vision looks that way. So you can't always recognize that someone has low vision just by looking at them. Second thing is, not everybody who has a white cane has no vision whatsoever. In fact, a number of years ago, the CNIB, also known as the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, released a commercial advertisement stating that up to 70% of white cane users actually had some level of vision. The World Health Organization takes it one level further and estimates this number to actually be as much as 85%. So what that means is that as many as 15 to 30%, depending on which stat you go with. We'll go with the World Health Organization stat. So 15% of white cane users are totally blind. The rest of us have some level of vision. You may hear the word partial sight or partial vision. Those terms are used less frequently now, and medical professionals now prefer to use the word low vision. The World Health Organization categorizes visual function into 4 categories, but before we get into that, a couple of important definitions to help you understand the way vision is measured in general. First up is visual acuity, not IQ, but acuity. What this refers to is the level of detail and clarity that someone sees from a certain distance compared to somebody who has 20/20 or perfect vision. Visual acuity consists of 2 numbers, a top number, which is usually 20 unless you have the eyesight of an eagle and your sight is better than 20/20, and then the bottom number, which is the number denoting how far the fully sighted person would be standing away to see the same amount of detail. So for example, somebody who has 20/40 vision has twice as bad vision as somebody who has 20/20, again 20/20 being perfect vision. So what this means is somebody with 20/20 vision, what they see at 40 feet away, the person with that slight visual impairment would have to be 20 feet away to see the same amount of detail. So the bigger the bottom number, the worse the person's vision is. For example, somebody with 20/400 vision, what that person sees at 20 feet away, a fully sighted person with 20/20 vision would see 400 feet back. So again, the larger the bottom number, the worse the vision. If somebody actually has a number that's higher on the top, like a number that's higher than 20, that means that they are a very fortunate person and they have better vision than the average human being. The second important term to know about is visual field. Somebody with normal eyesight will have a visual field of 180 degrees, and this is the field that you see without moving your eyes around. So the last term to be aware about is light perception, and this denotes the ability to detect the presence and direction of a light source regardless of your level of vision. So somebody could be blind and not be able to see much of anything, but they can still tell that there is some sort of light source present. So as I said, the World Health Organization denotes 4 levels of visual functioning: normal vision, moderate visual impairment, severe visual impairment, and profound visual impairment. And then of course there's total blindness. To be moderately visually impaired, you have to have a visual acuity of 20/70 or less, all the way down to the point of 20/160. Severe visual impairment ranges from 20/200 all the way down to 20/400. And this also denotes the point of being classified as legally blind. So to be legally blind, you have to have 20/200 vision or less. There is a second way to be classified as legally blind as well, and that goes back to the visual field. If your visual field is 20 degrees or less, then you are also classified as legally blind. And this can come in a couple of forms. You'll hear people talk about tunnel vision, where you can only see what's in front of you but not what's around you or up or above you. That is one form of reduced visual field. The opposite is also possible though. For example, with diabetic retinopathy, you can have it where the person cannot see what's right in front of them, but they can see what's all, above them, below them, and to the right or left of them. So it's like the flip of tunnel vision. Again, another form of reduced visual field. Legally blind is actually more of a government term than it is a medical term, but it's based, of course, on the medical specifics. Legal blindness is a threshold, or a cutoff, if you will, that the government in many countries has set. For example, US, Canada, England, Australia. So where if you're below that legal blind threshold, you will then qualify for certain benefits such as tax benefits, educational benefits, assistance benefits, and so on. Profound visual impairment ranges from 20/500 all the way down to 20/1000, or a visual field of 10 degrees or less. And then last but not least, of course, there is the world of total blindness. However, you will also hear people talk about being blind with light perception, as I described earlier. So whereas moderate visual impairment and severe visual impairment comprise what's known as low vision combined with being totally blind is what comprises the entire gamut of being visual impaired. So the idea that blind and low vision people live in a world of darkness, completely void of color, is actually a myth. A lot of us can enjoy colors, and some of us can even tell the shapes of things. It's just we're missing those fine details that sighted people get to enjoy. So for example, myself, in my good eye, I'm classified as severely visually impaired. Oh, and I should mention that in order to be classified if with any of these types of visual impairment, that is with best correction, meaning while you're wearing contact lenses or glasses. So if you are one of those people who has 20/200 vision without your glasses, but then you can put on a pair of glasses and go drive a car and you have like almost 20/20 vision, you're not legally blind. So in order to be classified as low vision, visually impaired, legally blind, etc., it has to be with your best possible correction. How you are classified also depends on the vision in your strongest eye, as a lot of us will have better vision in one eye than in the other. So for example, in my quote-unquote good eye, I am classified as severely visually impaired. I am legally blind in my good eye with 20/300 vision. I also have no depth perception because the vision in my eyes is so different. In my bad eye, I have less than 1%, but more than 0. Basically, you could consider it blind with light perception. Another important thing as far as visual impairment goes is lighting. A lot of us need really good lighting in order to be at our highest visual functioning possible. That being said, though, there are some visual impairments that produce the opposite result. For example, I used to have a coworker where I used to work where she needed to be in a dimmer setting because the bright lights actually made it worse for her type of visual impairment. Whereas with my visual impairment, I needed to be in the brightest possible setting in order to be able to see whatever it is that I am doing. Now, some of you might be wondering about color blindness since I mentioned about color. Now, some of us with visual impairments, we do have difficulty differentiating certain colors, but that's not exactly color blind. Like for example, myself, I have two t-shirts that are exactly the same manufacturer and make and model. They're identical in every way except for the color. One's black, one's navy blue. Because they're so kind of close on the color spectrum, sometimes in certain light, I will have difficulty telling them apart. Or for example, if you take a reddish orange and an orangey red, if they're kind of really close together, sometimes it's hard for me to tell the difference. And a lot of visually impaired people are like that, but it's not necessarily color blindness. People who are colorblind, although they can't tell the difference between reds and greens, or in some cases, which is more rare, yellows and blues, they have normal visual functioning otherwise. So, you know, their visual acuity is fine, their depth of field is fine. So they don't get lumped into the world of low vision. Certainly it's a form of visual impairment, but it's not considered low vision. Over the coming weeks, I'll talk more about the ways that we as low vision and blind people read and use technology such as computers and phones and tablets. So to my fellow blind mice out there, next time somebody throws one of those comments at you that makes you just want to throw your magnifier against a brick wall, show them this video. And while you're at it, be sure to drop a comment below. Tell me the craziest misconception you've encountered as someone with low vision. Me personally, was many, many years ago. I was applying for a job. Long story short, they gave me the runaround. Why, you ask? Because they assumed incorrectly that I needed a Braille keyboard. But that's a story for another day. And for the sighted folks out there, hopefully that helps you to understand the world of visual impairment a little bit better. Just never assume that we can't do something because we have low vision. That's all we ask. Thanks very much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video. Here at Circle of the Blind Mice are bringing these videos because I believe technology enriches the lives of those of us with visual impairments. My mission is to help you learn tech, use tech, and embrace tech. Please share this video to help spread the word to your fellow blind mice. And if you're new here, please subscribe for new videos every Saturday. Thanks for watching.